Godzilla Minus One is right around the corner.
Well, maybe not so much. Maybe kind of like around the corner, but down the block a little bit.
But if you're in Japan, it's around the corner. But this video, I want to discuss one particular scene that we saw in the trailer that we all believe can be one thing or the other, and it's this scene right here. Now, I have talked about this scene before. I have mentioned that I believe it could be the end result of a Godzilla atomic breath blast. Many believe it is a nuke being dropped on Godzilla. However, 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation on the stream about this scene, and somebody in chat brought up the fact that it may not be either or, it could just be a heavy payload, and the reason was the idea of showing a nuke blast in Japan may not go over well with Japanese audiences. Now, I thought this was an interesting and valid point that this person made, and I wanted to talk about it in this video because I think there's a chance this scene may not depict what we think. Now, the atomic bomb being dropped in Japan is a big deal, and it's not something I think they would want to portray in Japan. Even the Oppenheimer film, Christopher Nolan mentioned in an interview that one of the reasons he did not show Nagasaki or Hiroshima was because of the fact that the movie was shown from the perspective of Oppenheimer, and also the delicacy, or excuse me, how delicate it could be to show such a scene in that country. And I don't think that's something that Japanese director would want to do either. Now, documentary, whatever the case may be, yeah, you can make an argument that that's something that was shown. In fact, there's a documentary on HBO. I've brought it up many times on stream. I'll mention it here. You might want to go check it out. It's on Max, and it's called White Light, Black Rain. And it's a full hour and a half, almost 2-hour documentary from the time the bombs dropped in Japan to the aftermath. And if you're going to go check it out, just be prepared. It's very graphic. There are some graphic scenes there. But outside of that, in terms of entertainment, there may be a good chance that there is no depiction of a nuclear bomb in this. First of all, there wouldn't be any depiction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I don't think anyway, because this is going to be taking place after that. The second thing is, at most, they might just refer to it, they may discuss it, but not actually show it. So the idea that this scene right here could be an atomic bomb being dropped on Godzilla, I think the chances are a little bit less now. At least I believe. The other thing is, it could just be a heavy payload. It could just be a bomb that they want to drop that is not nuclear, knowing what had already happened in Japan years prior. I still do believe that there's a chance this is Godzilla's atomic breath. If you're going to depict what looks like a nuke going off in Japan, then I believe the only way you could get away with it is by depicting it as the end result of a Godzilla atomic breath. Now look, I know everyone in chat's gonna be like,
well, Rob, I don't know, it kind of looks like a nuke when it hits the scene and everything blows up.
And I understand that, but I do think any movie that you're gonna make, you're gonna release, and you're talking about mixing it in with the history of World War II and the Pacific War, I think depicting any nuclear bombs, especially in a movie that you're making in Japan, where this is a very sensitive topic, I don't think they're going to show that. Now, another thing we spoke about that was something I brought up during that stream was, if it does end up being a scene where a nuclear bomb is dropped, I have a feeling that's something that's going to be cut from the American version of this movie. We have seen this before. We saw them do it with Godzilla 84, where in the Japanese version, the Russian is actually saving Japan from a nuke by turning off the bomb in the boat right before he dies. And they cut that in a way in the American version where it looks like he is unleashing the nuke. So there is a chance that if Japan decides to, in this scene, depict America dropping another nuclear bomb on Japan in hopes of destroying Godzilla, I have a very strong feeling this is something they're going to cut out of the American version. It's hard to say. Look, I know the scene is going to be, it's probably going to be something we're going to continue to talk about until we actually see the movie and see what the result is or what leads up to that. But I think there's an argument for all of this. I think there's an argument that, yeah, it is America dropping a nuke. It certainly looks like a nuke going off. we don't actually see a bomb fall. There's no, like, you know, you just see the explosion. I still believe, my belief is that it is Godzilla's atomic breath, and what we're seeing is just the end result, not the actual beam. And then there's a chance it can just be a heavy payload that's not necessarily a nuke, and there's, you know, collateral damage with the people being there. Fact is, we're not going to know until we find out, but I think there's interesting points for every argument. You know, I think what audiences have believed up to this point and what they're seeing, I think that's perfectly valid, because on the surface, that's what it looks like. I do think I have a valid point, because earlier in the trailer, you can see Godzilla blowing his atomic breath through a boat, and it looks like a nuke going off. And I do believe there's a valid argument from that stream where someone mentioned, hey, I don't think they're going to show a nuke being dropped in Japan. I think that would be too sensitive to show to audiences, especially if it's coming from America. And that too is a valid point. So, you know, it's interesting. That one scene in the trailer is very interesting, because that's probably the one scene I'm going to be looking out for to see exactly what that is. Again, I can't disagree with audiences. On the surface, it looks like a nuke's being dropped, but if what that argument that was made from the person in chat, if that stands to be true, which I think there's a good chance it is, that they wouldn't want to portray that to theaters, then I think the middle ground is my prediction that, you know, it's the end result of an atomic breath. But we'll have to wait and find out. I'm sure a lot of us are going to find out before December 1st. But that is something I wanted. That is something I wanted to discuss a couple of weeks ago after that stream. Obviously, didn't get an opportunity because we are, you know, like I said, a lot of stuff going on here in the real life. But we made it here. I want to hear what you have to say about that in the comment section. Now that you get that take, now that you hear somebody's argument that, hey, I don't think that's a nuke. I don't think they would want to portray that in Japan, especially from a Japanese director. Taking that into consideration, what are your thoughts? Do you still believe it's a nuke? Do you believe maybe it's a heavy payload? Do you believe my theory that it's a atomic breath end result? Or are you still on, hey, that may be a good point, but I still think that's a nuke. It looks like a nuke. It's got to be a nuke. So I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. I think it's an interesting topic to discuss, and I'm kind of interested to see what you guys think about it. If any of your minds have changed, or do you still think, hey, you know, this could be that's what it is, and maybe this director kind of wants to make a statement. It'll be interesting. And also, do you think if it is a nuke, do you think America would cut that out of the movie when it comes over here? I personally think they will, but I want to hear what you guys think. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.